And I'd like to welcome you all to our Thursday 1:30 p.m. session with Cyber Seniors once again, where Annie will be teaching us about some tech term definitions. Annie, if you can introduce yourself and your topic for today, we'd really appreciate that. And thanks so much again for coming on our session.
Thank you so much for having me, Alex. So my name is Annie. I work for a nonprofit organization. Most of you know already that. We at Cyber Seniors teach older adults how to use technology. So a daily thing I do is similar presentations or phone calls with people to explain them how to use new technologies and their electronic devices. So today we are going to cover a presentation that pretty much goes over the most popular tech terms that we use when we refer to our electronic devices. And I have prepared a presentation for you today. And let me get that ready. And I hope that you all can see. It's gonna be there in a minute. So here we have the presentation for you. As we mentioned just a few minutes ago, so we have the presentation here, and across the presentation, we have a couple questions. If you feel confident enough to answer the questions that we have in the presentation, not a couple questions, actually the whole presentation is based on questions and answers. So you can type it in the chat as Alex suggested. And at the end, if you have further comments or questions about the topics that we are covering today, feel free to ask them. I will be doing my best to answer. So let's go to the disclaimer. And just keep in mind that presentations are for educational purposes only and should not be replaced for independent professional judgment. The views expressed are those of the individuals participants and do not necessarily represent Cyber Seniors. Cyber Seniors does not endorse or assume responsibility for the accuracy or completeness of the information. Please note that sessions are recorded and may be published in various media without prior notice. Okay. So that is our disclaimer. And with that out of the way, here's the first question of this afternoon. So if you know the answer, feel free to type it in the chat. I will give you a couple seconds to see how many of you know what is a home screen. You have heard this word so often in different electronic devices, whether that is smartphones, computers, tablets. So if you know the answer, feel free to type them in the chat. I will give you a couple seconds. And after I will move to the answer for this question. So what is a home screen? And this applies to multiple devices, right, in multiple setups. So if you know how to use the chat, feel free to type in the chat your answer. We'll be happy to know what your answer is. Alrighty, so let's go to the answer.
Oh, Annie, do you want folks to raise their hand as well or share their answer in that way or just use the chat?
Just use the chat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. I see some
Okay.
answers.
Yes, the beginning screen. Nice. Alrighty. So now that I see an answer, let me see another one. Okay. And here is the actual answer for that question. So a home screen is the primary interface devices like smartphones, tablets, or computers have. It displays shortcuts to your most used applications as well as your settings and notifications your device may have. All right. So home screens usually have a grid layout for organizing application icons and widgets. Widgets are small tools that display real-time information. Examples of these are the weather update or calendar events that are set up in your home screen. You can adjust the layout to suit your preferences, and you can do this in desktops, laptops, tablets, and smartphones. You can change how the grid or the orientation of applications are set up in your device. And here are some examples. So if you pay attention to this image, and now that you see this image, what do you think, or to what device do you think these home screens belong to. So what devices have this kind of home screen? Let's see if somebody is bold to answer that question. So now that you see these two images in front of you, I said Android phones. Anybody else that dare to say the opposite? Phone, yeah, good. Okay, yes. So these two are home screens of an Android device and also an Apple device. Do you see any similarities? Right now that we know that they belong to a smartphone, whether it's an Android or iPhone, what similarities do you notice between the two? Oops, sorry. So if you don't know, if you pay attention, right, at the middle point, you have a little icon that looks like a home screen, and you have sometimes dots that represent how many screens you have in your device. The number of dots are indicated by the applications you have installed in your device. In the other device, which is this one, is the iPhone actually, you have a search option that allow you to use applications. So it's a similarity if you can relate to that. Other things that you can point from this part is the most common application. So for this person, they use the camera, the planner, Gmail, Google, and they have the icon that says apps that show all the applications, if they click here, that are installed in their device. In the iPhone, the most common or used applications are the telephone, which is to do phone calls, Safari, the message application, and the music application. So this is something common between the two operating systems. The most used applications will be displayed usually at the bottom, right? All right, what screen do you think this belong to? So this is the home screen of what device? Any takers? So this is home screen belong to a big device. What device is that? Bigger device in comparison to smartphones. PC, yes. So this is a Windows 11 home screen, right? And if you pay attention, the grid or applications in comparison to the cell phone are located on the left side, but you also can put them on the right side or in the middle, and that is what I was referring before, as to you can personalize your device to have the application in the places that you prefer. Somebody said tablet, but this is actually a screen from a laptop. But yeah, there will be tablets that may have a similar screen to this one, but this is the home screen of a Windows 11 computer. All right, some things that you should notice about this particular screen, especially in a laptop or desktop computer, are the notifications are usually, they are quite small right now, but at the bottom right of the screen, normally you have a bubble chat type icon that sometimes we have a number there indicating the number of notifications that you have. As well, beside that on the left, you have the time and date. And if you look at the icons on the left side, sometimes you will have there the Wi-Fi indicator, the volume. If you have the sync functionality to sync your devices with the cloud system of your computer, such as OneDrive, or if your battery is low or is at 100%, you have all these indicators at the bottom of your screen. In the other home screen, so you will notice that that is often show up at the top of the screen as opposed to at the bottom when it's as it is shown here. So the time and date also display at the top. Sometimes you will see the forecast or the weather in there. And in the computer, desktop or laptop, normally the weather is displayed somewhere here. Normally it will look like a little arrow pointing upwards that if you click there, it will show the weather of the area you are if you have the location services activated. Okay, next, what is a widget? Who knows about this or have heard about this before?
And please use the chat, you all. I want to hear a
Yes,
lot of different
please.
answers.
Yes.
So hit your chat. And we actually covered this in one of our latest sessions.
Oh, did you? Awesome. Alrighty, shortcut app. Let's see. Okay, so this is a little bit hefty in terms of the definition, but I wanted to be clear as to what they are because I find people sometimes confuse them with applications. So a widget is a small tool that gives you quick access to important functions or information right from your home screen or desktop. Widgets can show live data and let you interact with the specific features without opening the full application. Meaning you will have the application still, but something within the application can be put in a widget so you can access that easier. Some examples of widgets are the weather one. So if you have an iPhone or an iPad or even the Android, you can display current weather and forecast information, such as the example for the Android, right? So this person has chosen to show information about the area they are. So it will show them the weather, the area or city, and when was that information last updated. So that is an example of a widget. You also have music widgets, and what they do is that they let you control different aspects of the music, so playing, pausing, and skipping songs. So sometimes you will see only it's like a small screen. It doesn't display all the aspects of the application, just the aspect of the particular song you are playing. And you can pause the song, you can pause it, and even skip to a other song. And you also have news. If you are a person who is into this aspect, you can provide or set your device to provide the latest headlines and news updates. In the example that I use, well, I did not use an example, but I mentioned that in the little arrow that is in the computer, this one right here at the bottom, I know it's very difficult to see actually, but when you click on that, oftentimes not only shows information about the weather, but as well as news based on the location you are. You can imagine that the news in your area are not the same that the ones I receive in my area. With that being said, you can customize widgets to choose what information they show and how they look. They are available on many applications, platforms, including iOS, Android, Windows, and Mac OS. All right, so here is an example of widgets and applications. So this is a widget, right? The person set up their list to do, has a big widget here. And if you compare to the icons of the application, they are bigger or they can be bigger. So the person has access to a direct function of an application as opposed to having to navigate through the different menus to get to the application. So the things application is the application the person used to set up the widgets. So from this application, they set up different things related to a road trip they have coming and activities they have to do. So that is just an example of widgets and how they are compared to applications. So in sizing here is easy to distinguish because the icons of the applications are fairly small in comparison to the sizing of the widget. Okay, let's see about this. What is a notification center? And thank you so much, Jono. If I'm not saying the name correctly, I apologize for that. And also Yvonne for participating. And somebody else, I think it's Leon. Thank you so much, guys. You have been very much correct. So who wants to answer about what is the notification center, or who knows what the notification center is? The answer is kind of in the title.
And
So
please
let's
share in the
see.
chat, everybody. Please share in the chat. You guys are doing a great job.
Yeah, they're very tech savvy by this point, I will say. All right. Okay, if you don't know the answer right now and you were thinking but were, a little bit shy to share, that's okay. So this is a feature on smartphones, tablets, and computers that collects all your notifications in one place. That is why it's called the notification center. This helps you easily see and manage alerts from different applications, as well as system functions such as the updates for your devices and messages you could receive from different applications, as well as emails and calendar events and any other thing relevant to your device. Somebody says it can tell you when you get something new or some new information in one place. Yes. All right. So here are more details about the notification center. So if you use an iPhone or iPad, you can access the notification center by swiping down from the top of the screen. In the iPad, it usually works very good if you go and use the battery percentage as a reference. You swipe down from that point and it shows a list of recent notifications you can interact with. For example, you can tap a notification to open the related application. Swipe left to manage or clear the notification. If you want to remove all notification at once, you will have often clear and clear all. So those are the steps you can use to access the notification center in your iPhone or iPad. On Windows devices, and I mentioned this at the beginning of this presentation, the notification center is located at the right end of the taskbar. Now, if you don't know what the taskbar is that little part at the bottom of your screen where all the icons are. You have icons on the left and icons on the right. Whenever you open an application too, you will see that an icon at the very bottom of the screen is displayed there. So the device is indicating what applications you have open at that moment. You can open the notification center in your Windows device by clicking the date and time or sweeping in from the right edge of the screen if you are using a touch screen device, say, for example, a tablet. It will display notifications about incoming emails, updates, and other system alerts. I will try to show you a little bit of this in just a minute when we are doing the live demo if we have enough time. Okay. I took screenshots in case we don't have enough time for the live demo. And here we have two examples. So the example on the left is for a iOS device, and the example on the right is for a Windows device. If you look and pay attention, it will tell you when do you receive that notification. So at the very top, it lists recent, which is whatever recent notification you received. And if you have not been that good checking your notification and not doing any particular actions with your notification, it will show other times as opposed to recent. You have here yesterday. It will tell you what time you received that, right? 40 minutes ago, 31 minutes ago, which is nice. That will also give you a time as to how much time this notification had been pending for you. It shows information about the application. So this come from the mail application. This came from Twitter, right? And all these at the bottom are from Twitter. Yes. Somebody said that in their Android phone, the notification center is at the top. If you have notifications in the Android, it will be, yes, at the top. But if you swipe from where the icons at the top left of the Android device are, you can see them much bigger. You can swipe from that point. So here in the Windows device, you have that button that I mentioned before, the one that says clear all, and they show you what kind of notification, as opposed to the ones in the small device here, the notifications I'm receiving is related to Windows security, right? And it will sometimes give you a little bit of details about what kind of notification. So for example, here is talking about pairing that was done with another device but did not work or something like that, and has similar as this I just mentioned. Here, for example, for the options for mail, it gives me 3 lines for the description of the notification, which is a good thing because you are essentially seeing what this is about. And it also shows the dates in which you received the notification, right? So recent at the top, oldest at the bottom. Okay, everybody should know this. So what is Siri? Let's see. What is Siri? I was expecting more answers, but it's okay. All right. What is Siri? So Siri is Apple's voice-activated assistant. Yes, Gracie said an assistant. It works on devices like the iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, Mac computer, and HomePod. You can talk to Siri using simple language to do many tasks, such as. So these are some examples that I included here. It doesn't mean this is all the things Siri can do, but these are quite popular because they set the tone for a person's day. Say, for example, that you want to make a call and send a text. So you can use the word Siri and you can use the command. So Siri, call mom, or Siri, text John. I'm on my way. Setting reminders, an alarm. So you can say, Siri, remind me to water the plants at 6 p.m. and it will set an alarm to do so. Getting directions. Siri, give me the directions to the nearest coffee shop. Checking the weather. Siri, what is the weather like today? And controlling smart home devices as well. So if you have a smart home devices like a thermostat or something that is connected to your smart lights, you can set up Siri to turn them off or on if that is available to you. Siri uses something is called learning technology to understand what you say and respond to your request. It also learns your preferences over time, making more useful the tool for you. So as you use this assistant, they gather what is that you need or use the most, so they give you choices or options accordingly. Here are other examples of voice-activated assistants for electronic devices. So if you have an Android, likely you have a Google Assistant, right? Because now Androids are built with the Google system. So the devices that you find in this category are Android phones, Google Home, Nest Hub, and also Google OS watches. An example of a command that you can use is, hey Google, set a timer for 10 minutes. I will say though, that in order for your assistant to work, you have to give the assistant permission to access your microphone. Why? Because if they don't have access to your microphone, they cannot record your voice and take your command. And some people feel very uncomfortable about that, and I will understand why. I personally use Siri sometimes, and I will disconnect it because I like the idea of not having the assistant listen at me at all times, because they have the option to have your microphone activated at all times. Do you have to be at home to activate Siri to turn off the lights? It depends where the device that you are using to activate the lights are or is, right? I think that is the general answer for that question to the person who typed it in the chat. So you also had Alexa, which is for Amazon devices, Echo speakers, Fire TV, Fire tablets. An example of a command is Alexa, play some jazz music. And you will see that a common thing with these assistant devices is that you see the name of the device first and the command after, meaning you cannot use the command first and the name of the device. That is kind of the common thing unless you set it up to be like that. But the default is the name of the system first and the command after. So you have Cortana for Microsoft devices, Bixby for Samsung devices. So if you use a Galaxy phone, Samsung Smart TV, or Family Hub refrigerators, you can use Bixby, right? And you can explore these depending on the devices that you use and whatever suits you better based on the operating system that you use. These assistants can help with many tasks like setting reminders, sending messages, controlling smart home devices, and providing information. All right. So here are the icons for some of the voice assistants that we mentioned. So here's the icon for Google Assistant. Sometimes in your Android devices, you will see this circle showing up and you don't know what that is. Well, that is a Google Assistant taking a request that you did if you have given the assistant access to your microphone. This is Cortana. This is Amazon Alexa, and this is Bixby. So there you have the icons, so you know what they are. So next, what is a lock screen? Lock screen, everybody. Who knows the answer? Let's see. All right. Okay, so let's go to the answer. So a lock screen is the screen on your smartphone, tablet, or computer that shows up when the device is not actively in use. It blocks access to most functions until you take a specific action. You may need to enter a password, PIN, or passcode, use your fingerprint or face, or perform a certain gesture to unlock it, right? If you did not set up any of that, you simply would swipe most of the time from the bottom to the top, and it will bring up your home screen. But the lock screen usually displays the current time, date, and any notifications pending. It can also have access to shortcuts to commonly used applications, like the camera. And this will change based on the device that you use. Some Androids, when you are in the lock screen, will have the telephone icon on the left and the camera on the right. The telephone icon is set up there because it's commonly an emergency application. So in case something happened to you, if you forget, or because you are so exasperated, you forget the password of your device, the telephone application is there so you can access it quickly, even if you have forgotten the password in a situation of an emergency. Many devices allow you to customize the lock screen with different wallpapers or widgets to show information such as the weather, updates, or calendar events. So here's an example. This is the view to an iPad. Not the best view, but I hope you get the point. So lock screen, in this case, on the left side, is only showing, right, information about the time, likely, but the battery percentage. It has a calendar, and sometimes it will display some actions that you can take. Here is the time and the date. And this is the view for an Android device. So it has the time, date at the top, and some applications for easy use that you don't need to unlock it. You can just tap in the icon of the application and use the application. So the purpose of them is so you don't have to unlock the device in case you are in a rush. You saw something nice around where you were and you want to take a picture, but you don't want to unlock it, put your password, so you have it here in the lock screen. Hope that is making sense. So this is the view for a Windows computer. So you don't see any applications. Sometimes only you will see If the background is an image that you can know more about, you will see something like what you see. So if you click in like what you see, it will take you to the internet and it will tell you what this photo or background is, which is a nice thing. And also at the bottom of the page, even when it's in lock screen, you have the option search in the web and you can type something here. Even though it's locked, you can still use some functions, right? But it's limited. There isn't many options to play with except for knowing what the picture is, the time and date, and searching the web. Okay, what is a control center? Who knows this? Control center. We got very quiet. We were active in the chat and after we got very quiet, but it's okay. All right, so if you don't know the answer, let's see. So the control center is a feature of many devices that provides quick access to commonly used settings and controls. On iPhones and iPads, especially on newer models such as iPhone X and later, you can swipe down from the top right corner or swipe up from the bottom edge on older models such as iPhone SE, iPhone 8, and earlier versions of those. The features, they include things such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, music playback. Music playback is essentially the button that you can use to play, pause, and move forward when you are playing different songs. Screen brightness, volume, and more. So those are the common features you will find here. Customization, you can add or remove controls and rearrange them to suit your preference. There will be things that you use more, there will be things that you use very little. In Mac computers, you can access the control center in the menu bar. What features do you find there? You have a quick access to system settings such as Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, do not disturb, display brightness, and sound volume. These are very similar among and across devices because they are the most commonly used settings. As you can see, features refer to the settings or quick settings that you can change in your devices. You can add additional controls and rearrange them in system preferences if you are using a Mac computer. In Android devices, you can swipe down from the top of the screen and you will find again quick settings for Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. Sometimes you will have blue light, dark screen, and I already say Bluetooth, do not disturb, the flashlight, the airplane mode, right? And you can edit the quick settings panel to include the controls you use most frequently. Sometimes if you tap and hold where the icons are, it will allow you to rearrange them. So put it at the top, put it at the bottom, move it to the left, move it to the right. In Windows PCs, you can access the Action Center icon in the taskbar. Again, remember the taskbar is that option at the bottom of, very bottom of your home screen where you have the icons for the battery, the day, the time, right? And it's a matter of swiping in from the right edge of the screen if you are using a touch screen, or simply click the Action Center icon in the taskbar. Normally it will be located at the bottom right corner. Similar to what we have said before, this is the part where you can access things like the Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, brightness. Why is brightness so important? Because sometimes people see either too dark their screen or too bright and they want to change it. So you can use the action or control center to do so. Like in other devices we have been talking about, you can change what actions are in there if you want to do that. If you don't want to, most likely the default options are gonna work for you. The control center is designed to facilitate access to important settings and features without requiring users to navigate through multiple menus. What this means is that you don't have to go to the settings application, know what menu is associated to the change you want to do, and so forth and so on. Like an example of changing things for Wi-Fi, if you go to the settings, you have to go to connections and after Wi-Fi, right? If you want to change something related to your background or the wallpaper, you have to go to display, but you have to know the menu to know what each of these are. But in the control center, you can change things faster without having to navigate multiple menus. Here's an example. This is the view to an iOS device. So here on the top, who can recognize some of these icons? Anybody? Anybody recognize the icons on the left side, the first square? So here we have airplane mode. This is cellular data, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. And this is the connections tab, to call it some way. This one here is the play background when you are listening music, so you can pause by clicking those lines, go back, go forward in terms of songs. Here is rotation. Here is night shift, brightness, volume, light, temperature, calculator, camera, battery, alarm, notes, recording, driver mode, wallet, voice recording, and Apple TV. And in the computer, you have similar ones. Wi-Fi is here, Bluetooth is here, but normally the menu is extended because you have a bigger screen. So here, airplane mode, battery saver, focus assistant, accessibility, the volume, brightness, percentage of the battery. And if you see this settings icon, it means you can rearrange some of these things to look differently if you want to. And this was open from this bar. And this is the task bar I've been talking about. All right. What is an app switcher? Anybody? App switcher. We got very quiet. Maybe I wasn't as good to prepare this. I was expecting you guys to know about some definitions, but I'm glad that I can clarify some of them for you. Okay, anybody? App switcher? Alex? Do you know what an app switcher is?
This is a great question, Annie. Yes, it also again depends on the different systems. But when I think of this one, I think of the three dots at the top and the middle. I know that may not be the specific for it, but that is my answer. So again, I'm learning a lot today as well.
I'm glad to hear that. Thank you, Alex, for participating, of course. All right. So the app switcher is a feature in operating systems like iOS, Android, and Windows that lets you see quickly the applications that you have open, right? Or the different tasks that you have been doing on your device. The way it works is the following. So if you use an iPhone or iPad, you can swipe up from the bottom of the screen and pause in the middle. And when you do that, what is gonna happen is that it's gonna display different squares. Here is saying carousel, meaning all the applications you have used and haven't closed until that point will be displayed in front of you. You can swipe left or right to browse through them and tap to open an application, or swipe up on an application to close it. In Android devices, you can tap the square or recent apps button. The square of recent app button normally would be displayed at the bottom right of the screen. You can swipe up from the bottom and hold, depending on the device and Android version, because I don't know if you know this about Androids, but depending on the manufacturer, sorry, they can be very different. So if you compare a Samsung device with the Motorola device, though they are Android, the way things are organized are very different. Features. So they show a list of recently used applications. You can swipe left or right to navigate through them and tap to open an application similar to what happened with the iPhone and iPad, and swipe up or sideways to close an application. It's similar in terms of the touch screen for iPhone and iPad devices as well as Android. I'm glad to hear that. So here is the view of a app switcher. So this is the iPad. And this is also something that if you use an iPad, you can really press the home button quick twice, like one after the other really quick, and it will show the different squares or the grid with the applications that you have been opening. So for example, this person was using the clock and had a split view of the notes application and the calendar application, as well as the mail application and books, and the translate and maps. So you can see all the things that you have been doing and haven't closed, right? If you haven't closed an application, it will be in the app switcher. So this is a view for an iPad. It will look slightly similar in a iPhone, with the difference that maybe the shape of the grid will be more vertical as opposed to horizontal. So here, this is the Android version, and you can see that the other applications that are displayed are kind of hidden, but you need to swipe from right to left to be able to see what is behind the Google Play. There is some other application behind this. And sometimes some devices will show an option at the bottom that says clear all, meaning all the applications that you have open until that moment will be closed when you select clear all. It's not that they are going to be deleted, they are just going to be closed. So when you want to use them again, you will just go to the icon and open them again. This is a view from a Windows computer. So in Windows, to access the app switcher, you press the Alt and the Tab keys at the same time simultaneously, and it will show this view right here. So similar to the other devices, you will notice that it's a grid of multiple applications, right? The sizing might be different depending on the device, but in essence is the same. You can see all the different functions you have been using. And most people don't know how to close applications because they don't know how to use the app switcher, right? And sometimes they accumulate a lot of things and they don't know what is taking control of the device. The app switcher is an option that allows you not only to multitask, but to quickly switch between applications without returning to the home screen, right? So you can use the Alt and Tab and switch between the applications you've been using. Okay, what is an app dock? And we have just a few minutes left. And this will be likely the last one of these. So if you have any questions, we can help you with those after. App dock. Anybody? Okay. All right. So it is a feature on computer and mobile operating system where frequently used applications are placed for easy access. For example, on an iPad, the dock is located at the bottom of the screen and shows icons for apps, files, and folders, like it is for this person right here. So they have the gallery, settings, files. Yeah, very good. And here is the view to a Windows computer. So this is how they can access. And in the Windows computer also can be known as quick launch dock. And you can modify it. You can make the icons small or bigger or remove some icons, right? Based on what you use the most. So this is a nice thing that you can use to access your applications faster as well, without having to look for them among different places on your device. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. I hope that you guys enjoyed this. There is other terms that I will pass a presentation to Alex so you can explore them and go back to the ones we explained today. Thank you so much for listening. And for those of you who participated, I appreciate. And for those of you who decide to stay quiet, I hope that you learn a couple new things today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much, Annie. Would you mind just going over the terms? So just quickly going through the session and just flashing those different terms to
Yeah,
us in case
no,
folks have any
I
questions.
don't mind. Yeah. Okay.
But thank you about yes, the actual terminology for the app switcher. I'll definitely keep that in mind. We talk about that in one of our modules. So
Alrighty, so let's go and see them again. And I'm sharing actually my screen as opposed to the presentation. All right, so let me go back to them. So we have App Dock, right? The App Dock is the feature on your computer and mobile devices that allow you to use or access frequently used applications. So I'm just gonna, can I go back at the beginning? It's not letting me. I'm just trying to start from the very beginning so you guys see it all. All right. So home screen, that is the primary interface of devices. So the first screen you see when you interact with your device. After we saw the widget, so these are different functions within an application that you can set up in your home screen. And this is an example. The notification center is where all the notification, whether updates or email messages are, if you haven't opened them. And Siri is the voice assistant. And not only you have Siri, you have other options such as Google Assistant, Alexa, Cortana, Bixby. They will be different depending on the device that you use. And here are the icons: Google Assistant, Cortana, Amazon Alexa, and Bixby. Lock screen. So the lock screen is the screen that shows only your date and time. Sometimes it will show other applications such as the telephone, which is for you to do or access calls, and the camera. Sometimes if you use a Microsoft device, it will show the background of your device. So here's an example. The control center is quick settings. Essentially, that is what it is. Things like Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, airplane mode, music playback, screen brightness, volume. So those are general among the different devices that you use. And here is the app switcher, right? So the app switcher lets you see what applications you have opened recently and haven't closed and switch between them by the means of using your mouse or swiping left to right or right to left. And here's an example. The dock or the app dock, and that is the last one, is the feature that show you frequently used application. They are interchangeable. So based on what you use the most, you will see them kind of switching back and forth. I have other definitions here, but because we don't have enough time, so lock rotation, I put here the explanation of that. Toggle button, right? Tech gesture, accessibility, assistive touch. And I believe this is where we end. Okay, so thank you so much for listening. If you would like to learn this lesson with a Cyber Seniors mentor, please go to www.cyberseniors.org or call the 844-217-3057. You can register for a one-on-one phone session if you want to. We also host something is called the Tech Drop-In session, meaning you can come with your question, join us in Zoom every Thursday from 2 to 3 p.m. and we will do our best to help you with questions about how to use your devices better. Okay.
oh, Annie, can you mind staying on that screen so folks can take a screenshot or
No.
write
I
the
do
info
not.
down?
No, do not. Okay.
Yeah, it's just so everyone's able to take a screenshot and record that information down. And so I really appreciate that, Annie, and thank you so much for your session today. We really appreciate it. If there are any other questions or if there are any other comments about today's session, please raise your hand in Zoom. I see your question, Yvonne. I got you, okay? But any questions or any comments, I put the different items that we worked on or Annie introduced us today in the chat as well. So any questions about these terms, please raise your hand in Zoom. But I do see the one question from Yvonne I see about the dock.
Mhm.
Andy, I'm able to actually showcase that on my device. Do you mind?
Mm-mm, I do not
Okay.
know.
Yeah, so for your dock, we definitely talked about this at one point as well, this dock area, which is again the area that these apps are located. It doesn't matter what screen you're in, it still is docked at the bottom. That's why it's called a dock. So if you want to remove an app from the dock or even just move an app in the dock, just like with the regular apps, you hold your screen where there is no apps, or you can hold any app and then hit edit home screen. It really doesn't matter either way. And then when the apps are shaking, you can either move them out or move them around. So right here at the bottom, this is my MyPlate app. I can move it next to my YouTube app, or move it over here, or I can even get rid of it by either just hitting the minus and removing the icon, or I can move it to this icon to this screen or another screen. That way you see the dock gets a little bigger because there are less icons in that area. So if you don't use an app too much, like maybe on this device, I may not use Apple Music as much. I may not need it there. So everyone's going to be a little different. But your most commonly used apps, I recommend you either move them out of the dock or move them into the dock. Again, anytime the apps are shaking, you can move the app back to the dock and it will stay there no matter what screen you're on. On the right-hand side of the dock, the most right icon is the app library. This allows you to see all of your apps very quickly and you can search for them here at the top. And these next three are the most last used apps. So if I go into Zoom, if I go into News, if I go into Calculator, for example, so these three apps, you see those are the three apps that appear at the bottom because those were the three most used apps. So the dock is very helpful in being able to navigate your device. What do you think of that, Annie? I hope that answered your question, Yvonne.
Yeah, I think it's pretty good. In the iPad, it's easy. In the Microsoft devices, it's a little bit more complex. But yeah,
Oh
it is
yeah,
the
it's
answer.
it's
So,
another step. I've went on a computer or a laptop.
yeah.
But it also depends. Each device is going to be a little
Mm-hmm.
different, which is not a
Exactly.
bad thing. It's just taking some time to really go over your device and testing things out, but also, of course, asking for help when
Yep.
you want to learn something. Okay. All right, Yvonne, I hope that answered that question. You had another question for Annie or a comment for today's session?
I just wanted to say, yeah, you answered that for me, Alex, but I wanted to say hello to Annie and to let her know that I think we knew the answers to many of these, but we didn't have a chance before you provided the answer because I was trying to type in the chat and I think others, but you provided the answer so quickly that, so I hope we didn't appear to be so uninformed because
No, no.
Alex has really given us some good tutorials in each one, everything you covered. So I don't want us to appear to be bad students, Alex.
No, everyone has a different presentation style. Usually Annie, we chat and be able to, share our responses. This format was just a little bit different. So,
Yeah.
never think that. We see your participation in the chat. We always love to see any thoughts or, hey, this is something new, or just to share any reactions too. So, no, none of us never thought that. Just always encouraging participation in different ways with your
Yeah.
voice, with the chats, with the hands, of course, we always learn each and every day something new that we could do. So, we definitely hear you, and you guys did a great job with the answers when you guys responded. So, just always
Yeah.
utilizing the chat is so important.
Yeah, I know that you guys are very tech savvy. Like, I will say more than you can imagine, because I deal with very different skills and very different learning styles. So I know that you guys know a lot. Alex had done an amazing job. And what I like is to see you answer, because that tells us that obviously you are understanding what you see. And sometimes, I can only imagine that you are comprehending what I'm trying to explain. So when you write it down, oh, the point is taken. So just very satisfactory for us as instructors, right? Yeah. But thank you all for, having me in. Yeah.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Miss Wilda, thank you so much for your question. Hope you learned something new today. Thanks so much for joining.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you. Good to see you again, Addie.
Thank you.
I learned a lot just in this few moments. Now, I know all of these functions, but the actual name of it, I really hadn't put it together because I'm just really getting real comfortable with my iPad. But my question is the difference in a widget and an app.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit confused on that.
Okay. That is fair. So a widget, you know how applications do different things. So for example, the location can give you the weather and can give you like a route to get somewhere, right? So say, for example, that from the locations application, you are taking the function of the weather and you can make it a widget. So it's separated from other functions your application has. Yeah.
Here's my screen,
So-
Annie. Yeah, here's my screen, Annie, if you want to use it as an example.
Yeah.
Okay, so for example, if you look at Alex's screen, right, you will notice that the icons that are smaller are actual applications.
Correct.
But the widgets, so for example, this is a widget from the news application, which is
the weather is a widget.
The weather is a widget as well.
Oh,
the size
clock
is because it's showing. Which one?
The clock.
The clock is not a widget, it's just how it is set up to be. It's the actual
It's a widget.
application.
There's a clock widget app. That's a widget. All of the things at the top are widgets.
Are widgets. Okay. And then everything at the bottom are apps. Okay, great. Thank you. All right. I understand now.
Check out our
I also
iPad.
really like that pointer. You know, the little yellow. I mean, because I'm listening and looking at the same time. I miss a lot with Alex. So is that something that's on all of our iPads, or is that a separate function?
There's something that I set up with coding in my computer. But you can set it up too. So there are a couple links online. I don't know if they are available. Last time I checked for that coding was last year.
Yes, because the last time Alex was telling us over in the left-hand corner, and I'm looking, and I don't see it. But like today, when you had yellow thing to point to it, okay, I can get. I don't know if it's age or what.
No.
But I'm just a little slow with that.
Right, that is a normal valid
So
thing.
that's something that you code into your. Your, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I set it up in my computer. So
you have
you have the mouse, and the mouse can be decorated so it stands out. Now more devices are doing that, especially the iPad. For accessibility, you can increase the size, but you will have to have a mouse as opposed to the touch screen, because the touch screen will do lights and color, but the mouse will be bigger and it will show you what it is, but it's associated with the mouse.
I understand.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No problem. Okay, any other questions?
Definitely check out our iPad exploration video if you guys want to learn more about widgets as well. We learned quite a bit for that session. Any other questions? Any other comments for today?
Carol, Dory said the class was confusing for her. Sorry about that. Maybe because the names.
Yep, definitely review it. This session will be in our YouTube channel, so you can pause and play and just review those notes that Annie had. Those instructions and those notes in the session were very helpful with really easily explaining a lot of the concepts. So definitely review the video. I learned something new and I would love to review it as well for anything else. You never get anything 100% of the time because we're just humans. So just review and take it at your own pace. Okay.
Yeah. Let me send the link.
Okay. And then Mr. Raymond, you had a question or a comment today?
Yeah, I want to thank Annie for that informative session. And just to clarify what the young lady was saying, she wasn't criticizing you. She was asking for more time to write in her comment. But I not only learned something from you, Annie, I learned something from one of my colleagues on here about how to create an avatar for myself. Because if you see my picture there, I made a nice little background and a little person there, and I just learned how to do that today too. So
How
thank you so.
awesome.
Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
Yeah, and just to end the note, I did not take what Yvonne said at at heart. I think it's a valid point. I will only say that because we are within a time frame, right? Sometimes it's very difficult to wait too long for the answers. I was trying to give a little bit of time, but I wasn't even able to cover all the topics that I prepared for you guys. But yeah, I don't take anything personal, like even feedback, whether it's negative or positive, which is not something that I'm saying you guys are giving me negative feedback. I always take things, to improve myself, to do better. And yeah, so I appreciate just that you guys take the time to give us your feedback. That's very important for us, so we can keep doing things that you guys enjoy.
Yes. Well, thank you so much, Annie, for your session today. I'm looking forward to your session next month. Thank you so much. And I really appreciate your coming on and teaching us these terms. And please make sure you review this session on our channel when it gets uploaded, and check out the chat for that full presentation if you want to check out more of that info. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make
Okay,
sure to
thank you,
stay on.
everybody.
Yes, let's make sure to stay on for our poll, and let's say a big thank you to Annie, who presented such a great job today. Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
Annie.
Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
Annie.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
Annie.
See you next month.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Great
you.
Bye,
room.
everybody.
Thank
Have a good
you.
one.
Always
Bye.
So
Bye.
much.
informative. Thank you.
Thank you.
No
Bye.
All
problem. Bye,
good.
everybody. Take care.
Bye bye. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thanks.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.